Five, four, three, two, one. And we're live. I'm here with my good friend and the host of the Hustle and Know Entrepreneurial Experience, Julie Moore. She's a very smart lady. I think we've been friends like 3 or 4 years at this point. Has it been a
Yeah,
while?
it's been a minute, yeah.
Yeah, we met at a book club, which turned into a podcast, which turned into a YouTube channel where we discuss self-development books and books about entrepreneurship. And today, it's all about Julie. So we're going to talk about host Julie of the Hustle and Know Entrepreneurial Experience, Julie Moore. She's a very smart lady. I think we've been friends like 3 or 4 years at this point. Has it been a while?
Yeah, a minute, yeah.
So now I got rid of that. We met at a book club, which turned into a podcast, which turned into a YouTube channel where we discuss self-development books and books about entrepreneurship. Can you hear the echo? It's all about Julie, so we're going to talk about. Do you have it on in the back? Julie, entrepreneurial experience. Julie, this is the joys of life, because I don't have mine on in the back. I just turned it off. 4 years.
Okay. Was it me? I muted.
Okay, good. I think that you just might have had the YouTube video in the back. I had it in the back too. We both did. That's the joys of life. It's okay. So let's see. It's not happening anymore, so I think we're good.
Okay. It might have been me. Now I have to find the Zoom link again.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I'll keep introducing you.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about things that Julie Moore is very passionate about, including entrepreneurship, the work that she's done, getting an entrepreneur degree. You got a degree in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you make it up? Did you make up that degree? I was like wondering if you were like the first one.
Oh, we were one of the few first students to actually have that degree. And I think though now that degree doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
It was fun while I was there.
While it lasted. So the short-lived entrepreneurship degree, that's awesome. The work you've done helping entrepreneurs. And then we're going to talk about your new pets, animals, what you've learned from that experience. And finally, we're going to talk about EDM, which I just learned stands for electronic dance music.
Awesome.
So excited for that. So let's jump right into it, Julie. Julie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Joseph?
Pretty good, pretty good. So happy to have you on. And let's jump right into it. So like, what drew you to entrepreneurship? I know ever since I've known you, you've been very passionate, almost obsessed with entrepreneurship. What is it about entrepreneurship that you like?
I'll tell you a little story here, Joseph.
Okay.
Because I was thinking like, how did I, like before preparing for this interview,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking I've always had that entrepreneurship drive to just, sell things. So for example, even when I was younger, I wanted to do like a lemonade stand and like, and even then I remember thinking like, how is my lemonade stand going to be different from everybody else's? And I did that by like actually slicing the lemons and like putting it into like the little ice cube trays. And then, so that way when you're having lemonade, you're having ice cubes with lemon slices.
Wow. Okay.
That was so much fun. So I've always, and even throughout growing up, I would always be selling like candy in school, like for $1, whatever. And then even through college, my last roommate and I, we sold cotton candy at like fiesta type events in Corpus. So we were always just like, what can we do to like make a little money on the side type of deal?
Yeah.
But when I was thinking about where it originated from, I think a lot of it was from actually my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, she was a teacher. That's how she started her career. And she ended up moving up into the, as an administrator, HR administrator in the school systems. So I really admired that about her, but she was always kind of like, not always, but like a lot of the times, she'd be upset, like, oh, I have to deal with this angry boss, or I have to do what this person says, even though I don't want. And so I was like, you know what? When I get older, I want to like be my own boss. Like,
that's cool.
So I think that's like the initial drive, like not having to listen to somebody else just telling you what to do and you forcing to do it.
Yeah. And how old were you when you had that realization? Like, I don't want to work for someone else.
I was in middle school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever? So you said you did different like side jobs. Okay, because I remember middle school, I used to sell like candies. Did you ever do that? Anything like that? Okay, that's a part of the entrepreneur journey, I think. Very cool. And that sounds very interesting. And so like you mentioned your mom, what's like the biggest lesson you've learned from your mother or like from that time? Or has she helped you in any way, like with the entrepreneurship or anything that you're working on?
Well, I'm just kind of doing everything on my own now, but I feel like I have like an entrepreneurship family. My dad, on my dad's side, my dad's dad, he started his own business. They have a moving company in Houston, which is where I'm
Mhm.
originally from. So speaking, he had that thought, like, I'm going to start my own company. And he even started his after a divorce, like from ground up. So it just is inspiring, to hear like, oh, if they can do it, and then I can do it. Anybody can do
Yeah,
it.
that's cool. And who's like your inspiration when it comes to entrepreneurship? Like who are some people that you look up to or follow when it comes to being an entrepreneur, and what have you learned from them?
I would say mainly Gary Vaynerchuk.
I
I
like
love
it.
that
Yeah.
guy. I'm
Yeah.
always like quoting him. He just has like the real. He's real. He's authentic. He's a good person, and he just has like that mentality. You got to work hard for it, but whatever you do, you need to love it and do what you want, and you can make it happen. So I think I just really love that mentality. But then he also gives like tactile like advice on how to do it. He's always posting on his Instagram, and he's always doing talks. So I really like that about him. Free content.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. And okay, so let me see. So just thinking back to like when you were getting your degree in entrepreneurship, like what are some of the biggest things that you learned? Or is there anything that you learned that really pops in your mind that was just like mind blowing when it comes to being an entrepreneur?
Well, in school, a lot of what they teach you is like it's like the paperwork side of it. Like
Yeah.
you like make a business plan, do a marketing plan, and your pitch and all of that.
Yeah.
But one of the classes I did take was where we actually had to go find a small business in
Mhm.
San Antonio, and we had to offer to be like a consultant for them for free, obviously, but it was for our class.
Yeah.
So my partner and I, we found an embroidery company. So
Embroidery. Okay.
yeah, embroidery, and it was very interesting because we learned so much from them. Like one of the things, which I also like watching the show The Prophet. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's just a
Yeah.
side note. Okay, love that
With
show.
Marcus Lemonis
Marcus
or
Lemonis, yeah.
yeah.
So one of the things I learned from that show, well, and from this, is like when you're having one of the like a business that's not necessarily like an essential, it's more of a luxury. It's
Mhm.
really good to have it in a place like with a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
So, and it was funny because the story that they had told us is they were initially supposed to get this space to rent their like company, like their brick and mortar store at like
Mhm.
a different location, but then somehow it fell through. So they ended up finding another location that ended up being a huge traffic area, like a big shopping center. So because of that, they were able to get so much more business just from random walk-ins. Like, oh, what do you do? And then at the same time, they never said no. Like if somebody said, hey, can you do like this extra stitching or ironing on patches or whatever, they were always like, yes, even if
Yeah.
they didn't know how to do it. And then they figured it out later.
Yeah.
So I love that persistence. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something I learned from like real world experience with other entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Yeah. Like persistence and like a can-do attitude of like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out a way to do this.
Exactly. Exactly. They took classes like how do I embroider? They got a machine. They like made it work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And that's like an embroidery business in town. Is it still around?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's cool. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then from there, so after you got your degree, like what are some things that you tried doing with entrepreneurship? Like what are some different things that you've done with it?
Yeah, for sure. So um, after my degree, I really kind of grew up with the typical American dream, right? So you go to college, and after that, you should get a job, and then after that, you find a family and all that.
Yeah.
But so that was my mentality. So after college, I'm like, okay, I want to get a job. Like I want to learn from respectable companies that know what they're doing and be able to implement that.
Mhm.
So um, through that is where actually I met you, Joseph. My
Yeah.
first job was at a nonprofit that helped small businesses
Mhm.
accelerate. So that job I really did enjoy. No longer there at the moment, but what I found out is I loved interacting with entrepreneurs and talking to them and helping them grow. And it created like a community of like-minded individuals. And from there, we offered so many workshops. That's where we did the book club.
Yeah.
So leading that into what I'm currently doing, which is the Hustle and Know entrepreneurial experience.
Yeah.
So So that's my current project. As you
Yeah.
know, Joseph is a member.
Yeah.
And then we also have Sean Townley. So
Mhm.
that is my current entrepreneurial venture where I want to create another community, but also educate them through us learning through educational books.
Yeah.
There's so much knowledge that you can learn from books. And a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, we don't have time to read everything,
Mhm.
but I love reading, I love learning. So I don't mind taking that burden and then sharing it with everybody.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
my current one. And then I'm trying to start from scratch right now. It's like new year, we're like, okay, let's reevaluate what you want to do. And so I've
Yeah.
just been browsing like Pinterest and just making like a list of like everything that I enjoy to, because I want to start my own e-commerce business on the
Mhm.
side. So once that comes, I will let you know. But for now,
Yeah.
it's
Please
open.
do. I'm excited to see that come to fruition. That'll be very cool.
Mhm.
The cool thing about e-commerce is like once you make the product, you do all the work up front, and then you just start collecting money. It's
Mhm.
like people buy it and you just collect money. Of course, you got to do some marketing and stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a cool idea. And you mentioned you love to read. I think we both love to read. So I'm going
Mhm.
to ask you about books. When it comes to like self-development, what's your all-time favorite self-development book of all time?
It's tricky. Okay. Okay. Self development is different from like, a business book. You know what I mean? So for self development wise, I really like, which we haven't discussed in our book club, but I know Sean had heard of it. It was the You Are a Badass by,
Mhm.
by Jen Sincero, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, that book, I think, is a very, very good book for personal self development. For a lot, also for people who maybe are, beating themselves up, not talking about themselves very nicely. It really puts it in perspective on how to like be your best self and treat yourself as if you're your best friend. So for
Yeah.
example, like when you're putting yourself down sometimes, like, oh, I suck at this, or typical insecurity stuff, it teaches you to think, okay, well, what if like, would I say that to my best friend? No, I
Yeah.
would be pumping up my best friend and saying, you're awesome.
Yeah.
So it teaches you to do that for yourself. So personal development, that's one I would say is my favorite. Um,
Okay.
business wise, I would say the 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
So by Timothy Ferris. That one I absolutely love. Because it has everything. It has the story behind it. It has the tools. It gives you the ability to think about what you want out of life and
Mhm.
how to do it, how to implement, like step by step. So
Yeah.
I really love that book. And it teaches you how to be more efficient with your time to be able to achieve those goals.
Yeah. Very
Ha-
cool.
Yeah.
That's like okay. That's a pretty good mix. What's the biggest thing you learned from that book? Um, you are a badass. What did you learn from that book?
Well, what I said, just to like not beat up on yourself,
Okay.
and be kinder to yourself in general.
But how do you do that? Because that's hard to do.
Well, by thinking of yourself as your best friend, I think
Yeah.
that's how to do it. So, like for example, I'm not going to talk about myself negatively, like my best friend. Like I'm not going to talk shit or say like, you're ugly or whatever.
Yeah.
Like in general, like hypothetically speaking. So why would I say that about myself if I wouldn't say that to my best friend? Like treat yourself like you would your best friend. That kind of
Okay.
thing.
I like that. I like that. And
Yeah.
you mentioned 4 Hour Work Week. Like, what are some of the highlights of that book that you like? I know we talked about that on the Hustle and Know.
That book I just love. I just love how like in every chapter it gives you action items. It tells you how to be more efficient. So for example, um, what would you do if you only had like if you had like a heart attack and they told you you could only work like 4 hours a week or you'll die.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I remember. I remember that idea. Yeah.
So how do I become more efficient and also break down what are actually the most important things that I need to get done? You know what
Mm.
I mean? So like you're gonna have to narrow it down to your very top tasks that have to get done. And then from there, you'll be able to see all these other things that you're wasting your time that are not necessary, like checking emails or, like, or any little thing like, oh, I took a coffee break for 10 minutes, or you
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like when you're working.
Yeah.
So it teaches you how to be more efficient. So I love that from the 4-hour work week. And
Yeah.
then it gives you tips like you can have a virtual assistant from
Oh yeah, from like India or for very cheap.
you can get a local one too, but or India.
Well, the currency exchange makes it so it's super cheap if they're in India or like
Yeah,
Vietnam. Yeah.
yeah. But whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm just curious because I know you talk a lot about nonfiction. Do you like fiction books?
I like fiction,
Yeah.
but I mean, I haven't read a fiction book, I think, since I've been like in high school.
Okay. So you obviously prefer nonfiction, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
That's fair to say. Okay. I'm just curious. Um, so when it comes to, I know you have a learner's mindset. I know that's something we've talked about a lot. I think we're both kind of like on the same page there. Forgot where I was going with this, but I want to ask you like, I guess what's like when it comes to working like entrepreneurship, like when are you the happiest? Like when do you feel like you're in a flow state, like really enjoying what you're doing?
Well, with my current project, I think it's like when we're having conversations like this, like when
Yeah.
I'm able to connect with other people and talk,
Mhm.
that I think is when I thrive the most. I'm a very big people person.
Yeah.
So, so I love working with others and giving advice and just, bouncing off ideas. I
Mhm.
think that's when I thrive the best. Hmm.
Yeah. And when it comes to like helping entrepreneurs, like what are some things you've learned from that, or what are some stories? Do you have any stories from times when you were helping entrepreneurs out?
Um, I mean, I'm trying to think like specific stories. I mean, I think a lot of things that entrepreneurs tend to struggle with is like their finances.
Mhm.
And so some stories that I've heard or in general is they need financial mentors. And I think that's something that at my last job that they were trying to offer. They wanted to match them with a mentor like in whatever field that they need. Like if they needed help with marketing, or we could match them with somebody and
Mhm.
help them thrive. And so far, I feel like they've been pretty successful in doing that.
Yeah.
So really, my in general, I guess I just like seeing them grow, seeing them start from nothing to like growing by $10,000 a year, or I haven't been there since COVID, so I can't
Yeah.
tell you anything recent.
Yeah.
Um, but in general, we always got great, great, great feedback from any workshops that we offered, and
Yeah.
them learning to grow. Um, so, like, okay, here I thought of one. Let me
Okay.
think. There was this one. We have this core. Let me see, cohort. Okay, yeah, I was like
Cohort. Yeah.
cohort,
Yeah.
and there was this one lady, I won't name any names or anything, but she wanted to start kind of like an Airbnb. She had
Mhm.
like this small business that was just like she had a house type of deal, and she wanted
Mhm.
to rent it out like an Airbnb, but she was trying to like think of it in a whole completely new light, like new industry type of deal.
Yeah.
And so I know she was fixing it up and everything, but she wasn't really understanding like how to market it very well, how to price it. And we one of our small business specialists sat down with her and had to explain to her like different opportunities, like you need to listen to your costs, how much your costs are going to be before you can figure out how much to sell it for, because you want it to be profitable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So through it was a 10-week program. So through the 10 weeks, we were able to open her eyes, because at first she was so intimidated by numbers. She just was like, we had a financial class and just went over her head.
Yeah.
So we sat and did like extra attention with her, and by the end, she was
Yeah.
able to make it more profitable. So that was a really awesome experience, seeing her also increasing her public speaking and her marketing her business better, as well as making it actually profitable. So
Very cool. Very cool. So you guys helped her out, and what did that look like afterwards? Like, she was more profitable. Like, how did that play out in her life? Did you get to see any of that? Like, how that helped her?
well, I'm no longer there, so I don't know how she currently is doing.
Okay.
But that's a good point. I'm gonna reach out and be like, hey, you should have follow-ups.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. And okay, so what type of workshops were there? Like, do you remember any of them? Are there any that you stood out in your mind as being like really good workshops where you learn new things, cool
We had
new
all
ideas?
kinds of workshops. We had like there was even like a workshop where you learned about, I'm like trying to think, not self-defense, but like how you like, let's say in like a hostage situation, like you don't ever think about this is like a cool workshop that we had that I was like, whoa, I never even thought about this. But let's say
Yeah.
you have a small business and you have like you have a brick and mortar store, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if one of your employees has like an abusive relationship, right?
Yeah.
And what if that person, their partner, like comes into your store looking for their spouse or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's like all different protocols that you should have in place in case that were to happen. And most people don't even think about that. I mean, I didn't even think about that. But we had a workshop on like how you can implement those protocols and just extra things to think about. So it's not like self-defense, but it I don't really know the correct term. Like
Yeah.
maybe like um being
Like
proactive in security,
like conflict, getting
yeah,
rid of conflict, kind of de-escalation. Is that it?
more like security measures, I would say.
And what are those measures, just for in case people are wondering? Because that's an interesting topic.
So from what I remember, you need to have a policy to where, like, let's say, first of all, you need to inform your staff, like, if there is that person about, and make sure that they check and have the picture ready, so like they know what that person looks like.
Yeah.
Um, I would say, I mean, depending on how large the company is, maybe you have a security staff that you would let them know, like, before people enter the building,
Yeah.
or if not, like if it's a large company. Or if not, and if it's just like you and a partner, if that situation comes arise, maybe you need to hire security.
Yeah.
Because I think nobody wants to put themselves in a situation. I know me personally, I have like a stun gun. So if anything
Oh,
happens,
wow.
I'm like, I get you.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like is it a gun or is it like a taser?
No, it's more like a taser.
Okay,
But it's
that's
called
cool.
the stun gun, but it doesn't like, like it
Yeah.
doesn't fly. I
Have
have
you
to
ever
do
gotten to use it?
I've never had to use it before. I've just like clicked it and like, you jump a little because you're like, oh wow,
Oh,
that's
because it goes.
really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you get that at? Just curious.
I was at like a Labor Day goat cook off with my boyfriend and his family, and they just had
Yeah.
like a bunch of booths and tables, and then there was like one of them that they were selling at, and I was like, yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Mhm.
I like that. It's like so you're not a pepper spray girl, you're a stun gun.
No, because I hear with pepper spray, depending on how the wind is blowing, you
Yeah.
have to pay attention, because if you spray it and let's say the wind's blowing, you're just gonna spray yourself, and then you're even more screwed. Than you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've seen before, like some people are immune to pepper spray. Maybe they pepper spray themselves. I've seen it before, but there's people, maybe they were on drugs or something, but they're just like totally immune to it. So it's like nothing.
I never I never heard of that. That's crazy. That too
Yeah,
though.
I've seen it before. I mean, on like YouTube and stuff, but not in real life.
Yeah.
I've seen some things. I'm just kidding. So very good. And what advice would you give to people who are interested in entrepreneurship, starting out in entrepreneurship, or thinking about starting a business? What advice would you give based on your experience and what you've seen before?
hmm Based on my experience and what I've seen, if you want to start a business, there's a lot of local resources in San Antonio that you can go to
Yes.
help you start. So, like, if you need an expert in whatever field, you can go to the UTSA's like Small Business Development Center.
Uh-huh.
And then you can meet with a small business advisor, and it's absolutely free. And then they can help you and guide you with advice, and they can help you make your business plan on like where to go next. And same thing with, there's a Launch SA, I interned there. Same thing, they have small business advisors as well. And there's just so many local resources. I would just, I think there's a guide actually on the City of San Antonio's website. There's a resource guide, and on that it has all different small business resources on there. So it's really, if you're looking to start a small business, I think don't be afraid. Don't be like, I don't know what to do, because there's so much help out there, and you can watch YouTube videos. YouTube is always a great option for anything. You can learn marketing. I would be hesitant to buy any kind of program or anything that says I will help you start this business, and unless you've heard it's credible from another person, because there's a lot of people who are just trying to scam you. Not saying they're all like that, but there's no need to go that route while there are so many free resources. Like, I'd try the free options first.
Yeah.
I don't know. Then you
Very
can
cool.
So,
Have you ever bought like a paid entrepreneurship course? Just curious.
No, because I went to school for it, and because I didn't all these places, I'm like, no, I don't need to. But I'm not opposed to it. Like, if I start doing my research and I just like can't figure it out, then, and if I can't get the free help, like if I try and that's just not enough, then yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just curious. And what are some things that you see that like a lot of people make as mistakes when they're starting businesses or becoming an entrepreneur? What are some common mistakes that people should look out for?
Common mistakes, I would say, is like not marketing. I think marketing is like a big thing that we just don't think is a big deal, but it actually is, because if you don't have business, you cannot, like, who's going to buy your stuff if nobody knows about it? And you don't have to spend hundreds or millions of dollars like to buy a commercial, or even to get a billboard. You can do, there's social media marketing, or you can market like via magazine, and you can always do promo codes on different magazines. So let's say like, not that, like, let's say more local, right? So if you're like a food entrepreneur and you want to advertise like at on the Current magazine, you can do like a quarter page there, and then if you want, you can do like a promo code, and then whatever that code is, make it specific for the Current. And then you can do like, let's say like HEB receipts, they have all those coupons on the back of your HEB receipts. You can try to advertise there and put a different coupon code on the back of that one. So then as you're seeing coupons come in, you can be able to identify where it's coming from, and which one's like the best option, which one you're actually getting results from. So if nobody's using the Current coupon code, then you're like, well, that's a waste of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of
What do you think? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just saying there's a lot of trial and error, but yeah, marketing is definitely a big thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of experimentation, right? I would say.
Definitely.
What would you say is the best way to market currently, or like some tips for marketing different businesses?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out too how to market the best way. Gary Vaynerchuk, he's the expert in marketing, and his tips are just to always just give out like free content, basically. Like, he has this book where it's like jab, 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 right hook. So it's like you want to give before you ever ask for anything back. And his is also tailored specifically towards social media, not necessarily like any print advertising. But in general, like, you need to think about, what does your audience want to see? What do they care to see? And then give them that content via different platforms. And then from there, they're going to be like, that was a funny meme, ha ha ha. Like, and then from there, you're going to build up an audience, and they're going to be like, wow, you just provided me with so much good information. Yes, I will buy your book. That kind of deal. Or
that makes sense. And it's, a lot of it is free. Like, you can do that on Twitter for free. You can do that on something like YouTube for free. Like, you provide a lot of value, and then at some point you're like, hey, buy my course on entrepreneurship. I'm just kidding.
Sure.
But you can do that with like anything. It's like you just give a lot of value, Facebook, all over, basically. So I like that idea. And when it comes to knowing what your audience is, do you have any like tips on that? Because that's kind of, we're kind of digging deep into marketing, but like any tips or anything you've learned on like knowing your audience or defining them in a way?
I mean, the only thing I could think of is like really try to think of like who your target market is, like who are you trying to sell to? Maybe think of it that way, because you need to be able to identify like their age range, their gender, and at least if you're able to do the basics, like they say you should know like everything, like their day-to-day lives, like if they're a nurse or whoever, but
Yeah.
you don't have to go that deep. If you can at least find the basics, you can use like the general targeting through Facebook. So
Yeah. Very cool. So yeah, and I've heard that before too. It's like you want to be really drilled down deep, like not just nurse, but like tired nurse, overworked nurse. You know what I'm talking about?
exactly.
Who watches a certain show, watches Friends or something,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like super like, because with the internet now, like you can reach those people, even like with weird things, like people who like doing Rubik's cubes, who are physics professors. You could reach them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Very cool. And we have some comments now. Let me see. We got my sister here, who's my producer. She takes care of the chat. And we have Aaron. I don't know if you know who that is. Said Julie Foley. I don't know. I've never called you that before, but that's funny. Is that somebody you know?
What did he say?
Julie Foley?
Oh yeah, he's my good friend from, we used to work together at Sausalitos back in the day.
Awesome. Shout out to Aaron. And of course, shout out to Larissa. I always appreciate your help very much with organizing the chat. Anyone has any questions for Julie about anything, but specifically entrepreneurship, animals, and EDM, let's keep it a little bit. Be sure to ask those. We appreciate any questions you have. And okay, so I know you like entrepreneurship. Was there ever a point in your life where you're like, this is what I love, like this is meant for me? Have you ever had a moment in your life where you were like that when it came to entrepreneurship?
No, and that's also something that I want to make a point of. I think there's so many people out there, like, in their 20s or even in their 30s, who are just like, what do I want to do with my life? It's so hard to like, just decide. I mean, some people are born with it, they know, but I think most people don't know. And the only way you'll figure that out is through experience, like trial and error. So that's what I'm I'm trying to do. I'm going to make my own YouTube channel, like I told you, and I will market my experience. Basically, I'm going to be recording, like, this is how I feel today. This is what I think I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to try out and see where it goes, because I want other people to know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have that one thing.
That's good though. And yeah, I admire that about you. Like you're a very authentic person. You keep it real. And you kind of follow that Gary Vaynerchuk mold of just like, providing value, finding ways to put value out there. So very cool. Anything final on the topic of entrepreneurship? Anything you want to say? Let's say you were only allowed to say one thing about entrepreneurship. What would you say about it?
Oh my gosh.
You're like, don't do it. No, I'm just kidding.
If I had to say one thing about it, I would say to just find something, even if you don't love it, something that you really like, and try to pursue that in your entrepreneurship journey. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, where I love reading books, I love educating myself, I love educating others. So it's like, let's try that path with our book club and see where it goes.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. It came full circle because I was thinking about your mom, and you're saying she was a teacher, and you said, I love educating. So you're finding like an entrepreneurial way of educating people.
I couldn't teach kids. I'm not, but adults maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably easier with adults, but sometimes adults are so stuck in their ways, it's hard to change as an adult for some people. That's
true. That's why you have to keep growing. Keep growing.
Yeah. Keep growing. And let me see. I like that. Anything else you can think of on entrepreneurship? I know it's something that's important to you.
I really like entrepreneurship because I think it gives the power to yourself. Like, by being an entrepreneur, you can pick whatever you like, whatever you enjoy, and build a business for yourself. And you're not working for the man or whoever else you want to.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Or the
You're
woman.
working for
No, I'm
yourself.
just kidding.
You're working for yourself. You're building
Yeah,
something for yourself. And I think that would make anybody feel like, you know, their self-worth is great, you know. You're
yeah,
not making somebody, because like as a job, you are making somebody else a ton of money, you know.
yeah. And they're never going to pay you that amount of money that you're making for them. They have to pay you less in order to make a profit.
Exactly. So it's like you might as well be doing that for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question here. Um, what's like your dream business? Like, what would your dream business look like? Like, say, like, if you had to set a date, like maybe 5 years from now, maybe 3 years, if you want to be aggressive, or maybe even at the end of this year, what would your dream business look like?
Well, it's interesting you say that because that's going to lead into the EDM part. But
Okay.
my dream is I do want to own like a nightclub
Hmm.
related to the EDM industry. That's what I
Yeah.
want to do. Now, it's tricky with Corona and everything right now.
Yeah.
So I want to um, see that's where the e-commerce part comes in and
Yeah.
see if I could do something related to that, like clothing or like I mentioned, like fanny packs or
Yeah.
something related, and then be able to make money off of that to be able to support a nightclub, at least getting off its feet. Because like, what happens if another virus comes around in like another 10 years,
Hmm.
and then everything has to get shut down again, then that you're losing so much revenue. But if you still have the e-commerce part, you can still sell that online. So I wouldn't be forced to like shut down and give up my dream.
Yeah. And you make a good point about like having different diversified forms of income, like something with online and then something with a brick and mortar nightclub,
Hmm.
which is very cool. And yeah, I like that we're switching over to EDM here.
Yeah.
And let me see. So tell me about EDM. I'm like totally ignorant about EDM. I just looked it up today and I was like, okay, it stands for electronic dance music. And before that, I was calling it EDM music, which is saying electronic dance music. It's kind of
Yeah.
like ATM machine.
Yeah.
So like for someone who doesn't know anything about EDM, how should they get into it? Or what
Okay.
should they try listening to?
Okay. So I was thinking about this before this interview, and I was like, how would I, in like the most basic terms, like describe it? So, in a sense, of course, electronic dance music means music like made electronically. So, like a lot of beats, like it's not like a random guitar, it's like made on a computer. It's more digital.
Digital music. Yeah.
So, um, there's different genres, and I was like, even I'm not like an expert in it. I love it and I enjoy it, but maybe that's something I'll build to be an expert. But for
Mhm.
now, just giving like the basics, like there's like a couple. I'll just name like five different types. There's like
Okay.
the general house music, which
Yeah.
that is like the most popular, like mainstream music that you'll hear on the radio, like Zed or like David Guetta. You know, they
Yeah.
like partner with a lot of pop people, so
Yeah.
you'll hear them more often.
Is Calvin Harris that?
Yeah, he's more pop. He's more
Okay.
poppy dance. Like that's even another category, like more pop dance.
So
Um,
it's very diversified within EDM, the different types. And I figured that. So go ahead, keep going. I'm
So just
interested.
to try to put it in general, so there's the house, then there's like the techno, which is like more disco. It's more like the unts type of music.
Okay.
Then you have like the like trap music, which is my favorite, which is similar to like dubstep and like drum and bass, which is basically where you have like a lot of build-ups and then drops.
Yeah. And trap has taken over rap,
That
right?
I think is where it goes more into drum and bass. That
Yeah.
one, they have integrated more like rap into it.
Yeah.
Which is that one is more like hardcore. Like if you've ever heard of like Excision, he's just so dirty, filthy with his like music. I can't even
How do you
describe.
describe that though? Like, is it just grinding, like sounding, or is it just
No, it's
like
just
like
so
chainsaws or something? That's what I'm envisioning. Like chainsaws.
no. Maybe we'll be able to like add a link to like a good song in the video so that
If
you
you name the song, if Larissa's watching, she could probably put the link in if she's still watching.
I don't I don't know specific names to like those songs. It's so hard because there's no words really in a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could look it up later. It'd be like Excision. Anything by Excision is gonna be like super dubstep, like trap, like big.
And that's what you like hardcore, or you consider that like trap?
The more hardcore stuff is like dubstep, which I love too, but I also like trap. Basically anything with like a big build up and then a drop, I love.
Yeah. And when I think of that, I think of what's his name? Is he considered a pioneer? When I think of Skrillex, is he considered a pioneer of that?
Yes, he's definitely like full dubstep, drum and bass. Good example.
Okay.
Great example. Skrillex. He's all like, huge
like
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then lastly, for the general categories, there's trance, which is like it's more like smooth. I would call it more like calm. Like that's sometimes something that you could listen to when you go to sleep, like just trance music. It has a little bit of build up and drop, but for the most, it's like smooth all the way through.
Is that like Aphex Twin, or what is that like?
No, have you heard of like Tiesto?
Yeah, I've heard of Tiesto.
He's more like trance, like just general.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to ask you, what are some examples of trap artists that you like?
I like Carnage or Flostradamus or Brills. Like those are all like, or like Excision. And I love Skrillex too. So all those like just
That's cool. Yeah, I remember Skrillex. He had some good drops.
He's so popular, but like the more like popular in general, like which is apparently another category, like the pop version of electronic music is more like you said, Calvin Harris and like Diplo. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's been more popular.
I know Diplo, and both of those are.
That's apparently a separate category because
I try on the radio all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a little bit of what those are.
So it's like it goes from like mellow to like hardcore. Like it's like it has like a heavy metal and it has like a elevator music type. Kind of. Right within the EDM. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay. Let me see. I got a comment here from my sister. We got two comments here. Have you ever heard of Crystal Castles? My sister's asking, Larissa.
No, I haven't.
Okay. She says she likes some in their EDM, or I guess they're like electronic music. I think it's like indie-tronic. Is that a thing too? Indie-tronic?
Apparently there's everything. Like even with there's house, there's like 5 different other levels of house. Like there's just like any name you can think of, there's so many different options. Like if I have to think, like there's probably like 20 different names and types. Like
yeah. It's so crazy. It's like there's infinite ways of making music nowadays, especially with electronics. So it's like there's like, I don't know, it's just crazy. Like there's worlds within worlds. Like we have a whole genre of music, and it's like has its own like form of classical, and it has its own form of everything. Is that true?
Yeah. So like there's house, and then there's like techno house or like other versions of house. So it's like there's a general one, and then there's like 4 underneath it or 5.
That's dope.
And then there's a ton. I don't know why I said 20. There's probably at least 30 or more. There's tons. Yeah.
Very cool. And Aaron is asking here, what's your favorite current EDM artists, or some of your favorite EDM artists currently?
Well, I can't really say currently is the same ones that it's kind of always been, which he knows is Keys and Crates. Mm-hmm. That's my all-time favorite.
Keys and Crates.
Mm-hmm. And then I love Yellow Claw as well.
Yellow Claw.
I love Odessa, even though I remember you were saying you knew them, Joseph, but they're not like hardcore trap. That's more like mellowy pop, I think. Okay. I tried looking it up too. It's like, who even knows?
Yeah.
But those are my top is Keys and Crates, which he knows.
Okay.
Funny story, Aaron and I, and another friend of ours, we actually went to Vegas to go to, that was the biggest festival I've ever been to, which is called EDC, which is Electric Daisy Carnival. And they actually have those festivals all across the world in the United States. There's like one in Mexico, there's an Orlando one. I'm pretty sure there's one in New York. But the one we went to is like the main one, which is in Vegas. So yeah,
Okay,
we did like
that's awesome.
maybe that was like 5 years ago. Oh.
That's crazy.
So long ago.
I want to ask you about some of the festivals, but I wanted to get back to some of the favorite. Um,
Sure.
are they called bands, artists, um,
DJs.
DJs? So I've heard of White Claw. I've never heard of Yellow Claw. So just kidding. What's your what's your what's your favorite song by White Claw?
You mean by
Of all-
Yellow Claw?
Yellow Claw, sorry. My bad.
Um, I really like. There's like they have a song called Shotgun. That one's a
Yeah.
really good one. There's so many good ones. It's hard to remember the names though, like I said, because a lot of the times it's just like mostly beats.
Yeah.
But that's the one that's coming to my head right now is Shotgun.
Shotgun by Yellow Claw
Which we saw actually also while we were in Vegas. We saw them live.
and Electric Daisy Chain. Is that what it's called?
Daisy Carnival.
Oh, sorry. Electric Daisy Carnival. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. Very cool. And then you also have Keys and Crates.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your favorite song by them?
Which one do I pick? Let me see. I was just listening to them to like prepare, and I already can't even remember the names.
Okay.
Okay, the classic one is like Dum Dee Dum, but
Dum
there's
Dee
like
Dum.
I don't know if you want me to sing it. No, I'm not
Go
gonna
ahead and sing it. No, go ahead.
It's like dum 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 dum.
Okay.
And then it just repeats it like over for a lot. That's
And
a
are
good
these
one.
and what how would you describe these songs like what type of EDM is it?
Those are more like I feel like that's not even in any of those categories. It's not because it's not house. It's not really techno. I mean, I guess it's kind of trap.
It's like trap.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Odessa, what's your favorite song by Odessa?
Oh, that one I like. What's it called? Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's one that's like My Friends Never Lie. Let me try. I was like, let me look up the songs because there's one that I love that I can't remember the name. Okay, well, we might have to come back to that. Oh, there it is. Say My Name.
Okay.
That one's the best one. Yeah.
And what kind of song is that? Like, how would you describe it?
Well, Odessa in general, I think is more. I would say I mean, technically they're not described as that, but I guess I would kind of say they're more trancy.
Like
It's
trance.
more like smooth, like all the way through. It's not so much like it's not like big drops or anything. It's just like really catchy, nice stuff.
Like just catchy, it sounds like soothing kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very cool. And okay, you mentioned some festivals, different festivals. What's your favorite festival that you've been to of all time?
Definitely the Vegas one.
The Vegas Electric Daisy Carnival.
That
And
one's the biggest one because they actually have like even though we didn't do any rides, but they have like you could have done like a Ferris wheel or like they just have like big giant things like just roaming around like giant robots like just all dressed because it's at night, right? So
yeah,
you're just dressed in like all kinds of like glow in the dark, colors and just like giant things and they have photo op stuff like
that's cool.
it's really fun. Yeah.
And where is that at? So is that's I'm guessing in the desert?
Yeah,
Right?
it was at some kind of like race car track, like some speed motorway in Vegas, whatever that one is. That's
Okay.
where it was located. So they like shut it down and they build a whole festival on it.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
It's like a whole like you could probably get there I think at like 6 in the evening or 7 in the evening and you're there if you want to stay until like 6 in the morning. It's like all night thing. It's
Yeah,
huge.
that's awesome. Do you stay up for that whole time?
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
cool. What's your like favorite memory or favorite band or artist or DJ, I guess DJ, that you've seen at a festival? Maybe like a favorite memory and then like a favorite DJ that you saw.
Favorite memory was obviously seeing my favorite band, which was Keys and Crates. We did see them in Vegas. And we were
Okay.
front row. We were very front row. It was crazy. I don't know how we made it to the front, but it was even crazier because I remember one of my friends, because this was like, I was in college at this point when we went. And
Mhm.
one of my friends from high school was, I guess, watching a live stream of it. And they saw me in the live stream and they're like, oh my gosh, I see you there. And I was like,
Why?
how crazy,
Okay.
I'm on YouTube, like live stream.
That's crazy.
So it was fun.
Do you know how you got to the front row? Because that's super hard at festivals, I think, to get to the front row. You have to
I
be
know.
kind of aggressive or very early.
I think we got there early. I think
You
we
got
got
there
there
super
early.
early.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they work is there's several different stages. There's like the main stage, which is usually house music, which has like the most popular. So like the Calvin Harris type of band, Above and Beyond. What's the other one? I'm trying to think of his name. He was like the most popular one a couple years ago. Starts with an H. I don't know. Either way, the big people are at the main stage, and they have like the base stage, so the more hardcore stage, and then
Yeah.
there's like four, maybe more different stages. So like whatever type of music you want to go, you just go to that stage. So we were at the base stage the most, which is not as big as the main stage, so we were able to make it to the front.
That makes sense.
That was a good time.
Okay. Very cool. And what do you like about EDM culture? I know you like it a lot. Like, what are some things that you like about it, and what drew you to it, and what keeps you sticking around?
Okay, this one I'm gonna show you. Okay, so what I love about it is that everybody there is like a family. Like you could have never met this person, but it's just the nicest community you will ever meet of people.
Mhm.
So like nobody's there. Like you know how sometimes if you ever go to like a show, like just like randomly, like if you go to a rock show or something,
Like heavy metal, like they're
like
fighting
yeah. And
or rap.
so yeah. So then people are like kind of like angry, like, oh, why, you're jamming out at a metal show, right? And then
Yeah.
you run into somebody and they're like, hey, why'd you run into me? And then next thing you know, fights break out.
Yeah.
That's not what it's like at all with the EDM community. Like,
Yeah.
of course, it can happen, but it's like rare. It's more like, oh, if you bumped into each other, like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, and they're like, no, you jam out, girl, or whatever. Like, everybody's just like super sweet. Everybody's just having a good time. And like, if like somebody's not feeling well and you can tell, somebody's there to help out, here, drink some water. Like, it's just the most friendly family community you'll ever meet. So, one super cool thing that they like to do there is, you make these bracelets, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but you make cute little bracelets like this with any kind of beads, and you can have any kind of sayings on it. So this was one that I got from one of my friends in college. So what you do with it, so you don't have to have them, but most people do, right? So you have these little bracelets. So let's say this is one person and this is another person, right? So what you do is you're like, oh, hey, and you're friends with somebody, you'll do this. The whole motto is called peace, love, unity, respect, right?
Okay.
So you'll do peace, like the peace sign.
Yeah.
And then you'll do love,
Yeah.
And then you'll do like unity. You'll hold
Unity.
like this. And then you intertwine them and you go respect, right? And then once you do that, you'll take, normally you'll have the other hand. And then you'll just take this and you'll switch it over. So like you trade.
Wow.
Yeah. So you'll trade with people all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're constantly like sharing, and they'll have different things. This one says bad bitch. But you can have whatever. You can make them at home. I think you can buy them, but you might as well just make them yourself. I used to make them.
You make them?
And then so you could put whatever you want on it, like dubstep or whatever, or like you could put Keys and Crates, like whatever saying you want, like this one.
Any word you want on it. Okay.
Any words, you make them yourself, yeah.
Mhm.
And then once you see like a cool person, you can just go, and you trade, and you're like, oh, and you hug. So just the nicest people ever.
Yeah, very cool. So like very nice people. And why do you think that is? That they're nice people?
Well, that's a good question. I think they're just more like everybody is just so like the people that are go to those, they're like all about the music. Everybody's there for their love of music and to be with other companions that also love the same music, and everybody's just there having a good time. It's like, why would you be angry and want to fight? Like, I don't know. I think a lot of like metal music or whatever, they might have like angry lyrics to them, and maybe it's just like a bunch of angry people and you get hype. I don't know.
And yeah, the anger is contagious, kind of like hearing anger. Yeah.
But it's just not like that there in the EDM community. It's all about love and having a good time.
Very cool. That's awesome. And if anyone watching has any questions for Julie, put them in the chat. And let me see what else I can think of when it comes to EDM. Okay, I always ask this question with music. If you're on a desert island and you could only bring 3 songs, what 3 songs would you bring with you to this desert island?
You're killing me, my heart. Well, does that have to only be EDM music?
No, it can be any type of music, actually. We can branch out now if you want to.
We can branch out now.
Yeah.
Only 3 songs forever and ever. Okay, well, the other song that I couldn't think of right now that I just remembered by Keys and Crates is Treat Me Right.
Yeah.
So I'll take that song. And
Okay.
then I would take, it sounds embarrassing, but I would take one of the songs from like Justin Bieber's new album.
Which one? Just say it. I don't judge. It's a no judgment. This is Planet Fitness.
Let's see. Wait, let me think of what it's called. What's that new album? Let's see.
Take the beats.
I think it's called I Love All Around Me. Yeah, if I had to pick one, I guess I'd pick that one.
All Around Me?
It's
by Bieber?
Yeah, by Bieber.
Okay. So Treat Me Right by Keys and Crates. Okay. And then you got the beads there. And what's your final song that you bring on the desert island?
Oh man, that is tricky. Now I'm like, what songs do I like? Lately, I haven't been listening to a lot of music because I've been like just listening to like podcasts or TV, regular TV or whatever. But the only one I can think of right now is like "Sleepless" by Fume. That's a great song. It's a great song.
Sleepless by who?
Flume.
By Flume? I've heard of them, yeah.
Flume, yeah. That's another DJ. It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's catchy.
And it'll keep you awake too on the island.
Dang, that's another one I just forgot. There's also Dylan Francis. I'd have to change it. X out Flume.
Okay.
List. And I'd have to do Dylan Francis and Brandon Urie. I think the song is like called like "Love in the Middle of a Fireflight."
Fireflight?
Yeah, Fireflight. Yeah.
Okay. So Treat Me Right. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say that song is definitely fire.
Okay. Yeah, so that's cool. So you would bring on 3 songs, only 3 songs you could bring: Treat Me Right by Keys and Crates, All Around Me by the Biebs, aka Justin Bieber, and Dylan Frame and Brandon Urie, Love in a Firefight or Flight.
Dylan Francis, but yes.
Dylan Francis. Okay. Very cool. Thank you. And
it's really good.
Yeah.
I do like them a lot.
Yeah. What other types of music do you like? I know you like EDM culture a lot. Like what other types of music do you like?
My genre is like really random. Like I like the EDM, of course, but I also will like a lot of pop. My mom, it's so funny to say this, but my mom is getting me into like Camila Cabello. She's like a little pop artist now.
Yeah, I know who that is.
But I also like rap music. I like a lot a lot of my music is like back in the day, like 2000s hip hop. I love 2000s hip hop, like Pop Lock It, Drop It. That's
Lock and
my
drop it.
jam.
It just got stuck in my head. That's a good song, yeah.
So like all kinds of 2000s hip hop is I love. So just random, but that's pretty much it. I don't like listening to like screamo, but I like some like old like punk. Like I like Paramore, like Taking Back Sunday.
Okay.
It, um, All American Rejects or My Chemical Romance. I like some of them too. Like so like same thing, probably 2000s like emo punk rock.
Yeah, like the 2000s
2000s
emo.
hip hop. I just love that decade of music.
Yeah. When did you start listening? How old were you when you were listening to that music? Was that like high school or middle school?
It was like middle school. Yeah. It
Okay.
was
Were
middle
you
school.
emo? I'm just curious.
No, I wasn't, but me and all my friends would just love that music. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. I remember My Chemical Romance like way back in the day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that was when I was in high school.
What was
So
your
very
favorite
cool.
song by My
Huh?
Chemical Romance? What's your
Huh?
favorite song? What,
Song?
by My Chemical Romance? Yeah.
Um, is there one song called Helena?
Yeah, that's like their original one.
I'm just thinking of ones that pop in my head, so I don't remember. And then the really popular one, like Welcome to the Black Parade. I remember that one from back
Yeah,
in the day.
good one too. I like this.
It's like super dramatic. I kind of like the drama. It's cool. Yeah, it's all good.
You seen the videos are crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's wild. Yeah, whatever happened to emo it went away. We need it now because everything's going wrong. We need the emo.
Well, right before Corona, I found out that I
Yeah.
think it's Brass Monkey. It's like a bar here in San Antonio. I think they have emo nights where they would play all that kind of music on like Wednesdays or something. And I
Yeah.
found out right before Corona, so I never got the chance to go.
Oh, really?
But
That's,
maybe
that's cool.
in another year.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Maybe soon. You never know. We'll see. Very cool. And anything else you want to say about music? What you've learned from music? What you like about music? I know a lot of people like music, but like, just anything about music you want to say? Anything else?
I think music's like definitely a great outlet. Like, especially like when I'm listening to songs like that I grew up with, like,
Yeah.
Like like we were just talking about 2000s like hip hop or like the emo music, like it just like brings me back and makes me happy. So I think it's a really good tool and avenue, like if you're not feeling too well or feeling down on yourself, just like put on a piece of music and it'll like change your whole perspective and like
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah. No, I definitely agree on that. Music can either make you happier, but then sometimes like you can listen to sad songs and it makes you sad. You can also bring
I don't
yourself down.
listen to sad songs really.
Okay. That's good though. That keeps, yeah.
But sometimes if it's a really, really good song,
Yeah.
but then I'll listen to something happy afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it can affect your mood. It's like a mood thing. You could change your mood basically with music.
Definitely.
Kind of cool. And finally, don't say the names of your pets because
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because everyone uses those as passwords and like security questions. Okay, but you never know. Like maybe later, like when you're like older, you'll be like, oh yeah.
No, I want to tell you their names. It's okay. I don't
Okay,
have.
say it at your own risk. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Just be careful with what you say.
Sure.
What's your pet journey been like? Like, how did you get started with that? How's it going?
Of course. Okay, so my boyfriend and I recently adopted a little puppy named Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a half Chihuahua, half Blue Heeler. So what had happened was I really wanted a puppy, and I had just started being able to work from home like shortly after Corona happened. So I was like, now is like the perfect opportunity because we're home, so we can take care of it. Because that's a lot of I think that's like a lot of the reasons why people don't get puppies too is because like, oh, we'll have to be at work all day, so you can't take care of it,
Yeah.
while in the puppy stage at least. But I was like, this is the perfect time, now or never, right?
Yeah.
So I'd been looking online, like just at like the shelters and Craigslist, and I finally found one that was so cute. And I was like, okay, let's go get it. And we're like, okay, let's just look. We'll go there and see what we think, right?
Mhm.
Like, no, we don't have to say yes. We don't have to take it home. Like, just look at it. Of course, you're gonna take it home when you get there, right? So we get there and we're like, Also the animals were not in like the best situation. Like
Mhm.
it was just left outside, like in one of those like gated things.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called right now. But it was like left outside. Like we're like, oh, this poor puppy is like
Oh,
not in a good situation. Like even if we like didn't feel too comfortable taking it home right then, we're like, we have to save its little life. So we're like, okay, we'll take it. Well, then while we were getting in the car, leaving to go home with our new puppy, we kept hearing this little meow. And
oh,
I, of course, did not want to like run over anything. So like I opened the door, and next thing you know, there's this little kitten outside my car, and it like literally, my boyfriend's like, grab it. So like it basically tried jumping in the car, and I picked it up, and immediately she started purring, and she just was like jumping from my lap to my boyfriend's lap, just being the sweetest cat. And he's like, we should take it. And I'm like, what? A cat too? I'm like, we just got a dog. We're also gonna get a cat. And then
yeah.
yeah, why not? Like the dog is the hard work, not the cat. Cats basically fend for themselves, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, like, okay, like it didn't take that much convincing because I she was so sweet.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I only brought enough money for the dog, so I called the lady and I was like, "Hey, this cat like really wants to come with us. Can we just take it?" And she's like, "Yeah, normally I was gonna charge like 30, but just take her." And we're like, "Yes."
yeah.
So we take her home, and immediately I have to like go to like HEB. Thank God, because this at this point was like 9, 10 o'clock, and it was also during Corona, so HEB was not open till midnight. They were only open till like 10.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, immediately we had to stop by like HEB so I could get like potty pads and like litter box and just all this stuff.
Yeah.
But they ended up being the sweetest animals. Like the first couple weeks though were so rough. I
Mhm.
even I didn't know what I was getting myself into. You
Mhm.
think you're prepared, you're not prepared. I'm like kind of person that like loves to sleep in. You cannot sleep in when you have a puppy at all. So
Yeah.
like I'm for the hustle and no, we had like a squish it challenge. So I was making videos of myself, new babies,
Yeah.
and you could see my hair was just like all over, like no makeup. It was rough because like super bags under my eyes because
Mhm.
I was just like was sleep deprived for like the first month.
Yeah.
But after that, like the puppy already, he's now about 5 months old. They're the same age. They're both 5 months old.
Yeah.
And they're doing really well. He's basically potty trained already. He knows to either go on the potty pad only at night, and otherwise he goes outside now because we take him out. And he
Yeah.
knows also, he's so smart. He knows like if he has to go out, he'll like just stand by the door, or sometimes he'll cry.
Mhm.
Or if he really has to go, he'll jump up and try to like get the doorknob. He's so cute.
Oh. Can he open the door?
No, he can't. No way. Thank
Just
God.
try it.
Because he one time is a little rascal.
Yeah.
And right when we get to the door to bring him back inside, we'll like take him off his leash and then open the door because he likes to run when he gets inside. We don't want to choke himself.
Yeah.
Well, my boyfriend told me that one time he like let him up like as soon as he got to our level because we live on the third floor of an
Mhm.
apartment. So
Yeah.
as soon as he got to the top level, he let him off the leash.
Mhm.
Big mistake because he's like, "Oh, I'm free." Darted all the way down 3 flights of stairs into the street. I mean, we're in a gated community, so it's not like he got out of the complex. Luckily, he had his bag of treats with him, so he was able to lure him back. But that little shit, he's a bad.
Did he survive? How did he survive that? Falling 3
He's
stories.
not because he just called him with the treats, like, "Hey, you want a treat?" And then the dog came running back because
No,
he
I'm saying the
loved.
dog was okay. Like, what did he land on? I'm guessing he didn't land on like concrete or anything, right? From 3 floors.
Oh
He fell
no,
3 floors.
he just well he no we have a staircase, so he went down the staircase into like the
Oh.
road, but he didn't jump or anything. No,
Oh,
no,
okay. I thought it jumped. Okay. Okay.
jump 3 no,
Wow, that's a super dog.
no, no, he just went down the stairs. So
Yeah.
yeah, but bad puppy. So, but he's really smart. He knows how to sit. He knows like if he's bad, like, or he knows like if we're gonna give him a treat, he knows to take it to his crate. we're trying to crate train him. He's a really smart puppy. So his name is Scotty, and then the kitten's name is Lucy, and we called her that because she is also a little shit, and she's like a little instigator, because what she likes to do is like get him in trouble. So she'll get on like a table or something, and she'll knock over like whatever, and then he'll chew it up. Like the other day, he chewed up my boyfriend's headphones. And I was like, I told you can't have anything valuable on the countertops, because she'll knock it over and then he'll chew it up. So it's like she gets him in trouble. So therefore, we call her Lucy, like short for like Lucifer.
Because she's so bad. Yeah, but she seemed so sweet at first. She was like jumping into your car, purring.
No, she's still sweet. She's still sweet cat. She's just like sweet with an ulterior motive. No, I'm just kidding. No, she's just playing. But yeah, we just thought it was funny because you're getting him in trouble. So we thought that was a funny name.
Very cool. And what are some lessons you've learned from having a pet? Is that your first time having a pet?
This is my first time having a pet of my own. Yeah, like my parents, of course, had pets like growing up, but it's different letting my dad worry about taking it out and all that versus me now having to do it.
Yeah.
So lessons learned is you definitely have to puppy proof the house and kitten proof. Luckily they're not that bad, because I have heard stories of like cats and dogs who will just chew up a bunch of wires, but like he will still eat whatever is like available. So you cannot leave any food out, like even if you're just gonna leave it in a bag on the counter, because he'll just try to rip it up. So bad. Like for example, just literally like last night, we saw that like on the couch there's like little buttons on the back of it, and he somehow managed to dig under the button and pull like a string, I guess, that was holding the button on there. So where he pulled out like 2 feet of the string, and we're like, how did you even do that? Like I was like not looking at you for 5 minutes and you pulled out a whole string out of the couch. And then sure enough, this morning when he goes to the bathroom, I found a giant piece of string in his poop.
Oh, he's just eating it?
He ate it. I thought I got rid of all of it, but I guess he had already eaten some before I found the rest of it. So that's one thing I learned, that you can't even second guess anything. Like any slight thought of like, can he eat this? The answer is going to be yes. He eats literally anything and everything, inedible. Like one time my boyfriend left like, those little floss things that you like this
slackers or whatever.
Floss. They just like floss and then throw it away. Well, he left one on the table, cat knocked it over, he chewed it up. Like he doesn't care if it's food or not, he will eat it.
That's funny. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. And I'm trying to think what other questions I have about animals. Anything else you want to say about regarding animals or pets?
They're definitely a handful.
Yeah.
I think like if I had to do it again, I don't even know if I would get another puppy. Like I would maybe just get like an adult dog, like that's already trained and everything.
Yeah, you have to get that part, right?
Yeah, because also on top of it, he's just hyper, which is, he's a puppy, but he's just like always playing. So it's like hard to just sit there and do work next to him, because then he'll just jump on me and want to play, or like try to bite me because he's a puppy and he's like teething, and you're like, no, stop biting. And of course he doesn't listen and he just gets crazy sometimes. But just if you're going to get one, like be fully prepared for what you're getting into. Don't have nice stuff either, because they will because he'll chew up. Well, and the cat too, she scratched the whole couch on the side of it. And even like on the tables, like the dining table where we eat, like the puppies like bit the bottom legs of it. Like they're just gonna bite and scratch everything. Like,
they'll just ruin everything. Very good. That's crazy. So how do you train them?
We've been training them with like treats. Like, but I mean, we really like when we were potty training him, every time he'd like need to go to the bathroom, I would physically pick him up and put him on the potty pad. And then after he would go on there, I'd give him a treat. Yes. And then we would automatically just take him out like every hour, like outside. And then if he would go to the bathroom, we'd give him a treat. So he knows, okay, this is where you go to the bathroom. Like,
Yeah.
not carpet.
That's smart. Yeah.
And then training him, my boyfriend took care of like the sitting, like he knows how to sit and lay down and go to the crate. My boyfriend did that. So, but it's same thing. It's like you tell them to sit, and you eventually they try a bunch of different things. Once they figure out sit, then you give them a treat. Then they know, okay, that's what sit is. So it's just a lot of reinforcement.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what type of personality does your blue heeler have?
Psycho dog? No, I'm just kidding. He really is a sweet boy. He loves to cuddle. He loves to play. Whenever they actually just built a little dog park area at our complex, which has been super helpful. So like at night, we like take him there, and he just runs and runs and runs, and he wears himself out. He runs so fast. We just took him to the dog park, actually, like an actual dog park, like with other dogs. That's not in our complex, but like Hardburger, which is down the street from where we live, thankfully.
Yeah.
And his personality is interesting. Like he does not like big dogs. Right now he's about like 23 pounds at 5 months old. So we take him to the small dog park area because if there's a big dog, he's so scared of the big dogs.
Oh, really?
And even sometimes with the small dogs, even that are smaller than him, like if they're like two at him, he's just like, like.
So he's kind of like shyish. Yeah.
At first, but then like once he will smell the other dog, and then if the other dog is calm, then he's like okay with it, and then eventually, once he's like, okay, this dog is chill, then he goes all super hyper and wants to play. But it's like a slow process of him like getting to know another dog.
That's cool. That's awesome. Very good. Yeah. And the cat you said is just like evil.
She's not evil. She's also super sweet. Any person that's ever met her, even the vet was like, she's so sweet because she does not like bite. She doesn't like claw at you. Like if you want to pick her up, you could pick her up and just hold her forever, and she'll just take it. Like that's not normal cat behavior. Depending on the cat you have, like a lot of them, if they don't want you to like pick them up, they will bite you, or like something like that. But she's not like that. She just takes it.
Yeah.
And she likes it. She likes to cuddle too. So they're both super sweet. And when they cuddle with each other, it's so cute. They're so sweet. Yeah. They're best friends. They play too.
Oh, really? So they're good friends?
They're best friends.
Do you have them? Can you show them on the camera?
I don't have. Oh, well, they're right. Well, right now they're the pup's napping with my boyfriend.
Okay, no, that's fine. You have to pick them up.
But yeah, there's a picture of him in the thumbnail for this video.
Oh yeah, it's in the thumbnail. And the kitty too would be hard to catch a kitty, I think.
Yeah, she like is on the top of her cat tree, which we got, of course, the tallest one, so that she can like run away from the dog if she needs to.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Very cool. Is there anything final you want to say about pets or animals, or anything you've learned from that experience, or they've taught you?
I've learned that like it's really true what they say. Like if you want like an emotional support animal, like cats and dogs are really helpful. Like not that I need one, but just having like I think also like people who live alone, they should just get like an animal, because it's so reassuring to have just like an animal there with you all the time. They become like your little babies, like your little best friends. Like I'm constantly like talking to my dog or talking to the cat, like, hey, like how are you today, or like or be like, do you like your toy, or like what, like I'm just talking to it like it's my little baby, and then like cuddle you, and it's just like it makes you feel like you're not alone. And of course they're also cute and they're funny when they're playing, and they'll do silly things and they'll make you laugh. So I think it's just a really assuring, like comforting feeling to have that animal there.
That's awesome. Very good. And yeah, pets are definitely adorable and they're good. They're good company.
Definitely.
They can be annoying too, though. They can be annoying.
Yeah, definitely.
But overall, it's like, yeah, they're good and we love them. So, final thing, Julie, unless you have anything else to say, is what is one big thing you want to leave the audience with? If you can only say one thing, it doesn't have to be related to EDM, animals, or entrepreneurship.
Okay. My one big thing that I would want to say is that I really think that, like I was mentioning earlier, we have the typical American dream in your mind, right? You grow up, go to school, go to college, get a job, have a family, retire, whatever.
Mhm.
Life doesn't have to be like that. I really want people to take away with them, like, whatever you want to achieve, like, you can achieve that. Really figure out what you want, because there's methods of doing that. I mean, of course, if you want to get a 9 to 5 and that makes you happy, then go for it. But you don't have to. You could start making videos online. There's so many influencers out there who just make videos and, they make a ton of money. Like, there's other ways. You could be a travel blogger. You could go across the world and just take amazing pictures, and then travel companies will pay you to promote their stuff. There's just whatever you want to do, there is an option for you. So I just want the audience to take that away. Just make sure that you're happy with yourself and your life, and just live your life to the fullest, because this is the only one we have.
I like that. Yeah, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You can do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good takeaway, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if you enjoyed the interview, be sure to hit like and subscribe for more. Thank you for being my weekly guest, Julie. I learned a lot from our interview about different things. I really didn't know anything about EDM, so I'm gonna have to check out some of these bands and carnivals and things like that. So very cool. Thank you very much. And is there anything you want to promote or anything you want to say?
I just want to say, y'all should check out the Hustle and Know Entrepreneurial Experience. If you want to be educated on business books or professional/personal development, check
Yeah.
out the Hustle and Know Entrepreneurial Experience. I'll have Joseph put it in the description here, and watch us for more videos. And then,
Yeah.
if you also have any books that you'd want us to read and discuss, let us know.
Yeah. And I put it already in the description, so it's down there. And I got to second that I've gotten a lot of feedback, good feedback on Hustle and Know, that it's a great way of like getting a book, but it's not too shallow. Like Blinkist and other ones that do really quick summaries, it's a very shallow summary that doesn't really get in depth, but it's like a more in-depth way of knowing what's in a book and like the best ideas that stand out. So definitely check that out. So like a book discussion and of the best business books and entrepreneurship books.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you very much for watching. Again, be sure to like and subscribe. So happy to have you, Julie. You can stick on afterwards, but I'm going to end the live stream right now. I told Julie I was going to show her how to do some live videos, so we can do that a little bit later.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Joseph.
Yeah.